I'm sorry. All right, so um, like I said, I'm not trying to teach anyone as if I know. I am learning just like everyone else, but what I'm trying to do is focus my attention on the different parts of the loan programs that are going to work for business owners. On Wednesday, I sit with a group just like this of all business advisors, and we kind of went through these things together as well. I have some clients that have already applied, and it's been, seamless. I have applied, one, because I wanted to know what was involved. Two, I wanted to know how challenging it is. They say some accountants are charging $2,500 for this application. I'm like, are you crazy? It's a 2-page application. If you have your QuickBooks in front of you, if you have your financials, it takes 5 minutes. But that's opportunity. But my hope is that we can chat about it, see how it works, and if there are other questions we can have. Even if I don't have the answers or you don't have the answers, we can at least know what questions to ask and share it amongst ourselves later on. So that's the idea behind it. That's why I wanted us to get together. Like I said, this thing keeps changing. On Wednesday, I had about 7 documents printed up, and I have them all in a little binder clip. All these different documents printed up. See that right there, right? All these different documents. And then this morning, I'm sitting down to look at one of them, and one of my colleagues comes with another one. This one here. It's called the SBA Business Loan Program Temporary Changes, and it says Interim Final Rule. This one says this is the final. I've had about 3 of those. They just keep changing. And as we're speaking, on my email, one of my colleagues pops up, here's the latest information. It just keeps changing. So everything that we're talking about now, make sure that if you're going to apply, don't take this as holy grail, because tonight it can be completely different. Probably won't be, but a little different at least. So there are 2 types of loans that the government is offering for business owners that I think are pretty great. And I asked the question, do you think it's free money? We'll talk about it. I'll tell you why I think it's free money. The first loan I want to talk about is the EIDL. And has anyone, most of you, have you all done a little bit of research on this already?
No.
No. This loan, the EIDL, is, I'm looking for a specific document that I want to share with you guys.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
So you said that you've recorded this. I don't know how ambidextrous you are, but when you're making reference to any of this, could you possibly enter it into the chat?
Yes, ma'am, I can do that. Actually, I'm going to do this. What I want to do is, after this is done, every document that I've had, like that I've pulled, I've saved it to my computer. So I want to share it with anybody who wants it. Does that make sense? So we're talking about, I'm going to say EIDL, which is the Emergency Injury Disaster Loan Program. So the EIDL, this document was one of the first ones I got from the Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to show you on the screen so you can see the picture when I upload it to you guys. And it gives you just some of the basic programs that are available. The EIDL is a nice these are both funded by the SBA. So typically any small business can get a loan if you have an SBA lender. The EIDL is a loan program that's already been in existence. I think they call the loan SBA 7A. But the difference now is twofold. One, the loan is supposedly going to be guaranteed. Two, they're giving you a $10,000 advance on the loan. The nice part about that loan, according to what we've read, is that the $10,000 does not need to be repaid. That's what I would call free money, right? Mm-hmm. If you get rejected for the loan, you still get the $10,000. And the other part about that that's really nice is supposedly, and we'll test that theory, you can ask me in 2 more days, they're supposed to fund that $10,000 in 3 days, right? So I said, okay, let's try it. So I went into the app, I did the app, it's all online. I will get you the link. I don't have it in front of me, but I have a document with all of these things. And I filled out the link, the app. It was some very basic questions. It asked about your EIN. You have to be in business for a certain period of time. Right? You have to be in business. You can't be like just starting your business yesterday. You have to be in for at least a year, I think, or something like that. You have to have started some point last year. And there are some details. We can fill them in if we need to.
Yeah, 12 months.
Yeah. So then you fill out the application online. At the end of the app, I got a little scared. It said, okay, thank you for your application. Give us your bank account and routing number so we can put the money in. I'm like, oh boy, let me make sure that this is the right page. And I went, okay, so I put it in. I mean, either I'm going to have 10,000 more, I'm going to be at zero. But I put it in, right?
We'll find out soon. We filled it out.
I thought the same thing, Mark. I'm like, okay, I'm putting my bank account information. I'm either getting cleaned out or I'll be.
Yeah. So now my doctor, my dentist who's a client, he did it a couple of days before me. So if he calls me screaming, then I know. I'll give you all a heads up. But
Mark, I submitted that on Monday.
Okay.
All I got was a application submitted confirmation number.
Yeah.
Okay, you got that.
So my checking account right now is clearly not.
Yeah. So that 3-day threshold is not accurate, Mark. Because I did mine on Monday or Tuesday as well.
Okay.
And
Okay. And I'm not surprised. I don't think. Oh, you got surprised?
No, I wasn't surprised.
I'm thinking if in 3 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe we'll see something. But that is the one that is supposed to be guaranteed. The repayment of the 10,000 is not going to be needing to be. It's forgiven. That's what they call it. So it
it's forgivable,
right? And
it's
so, forgiven. I think on that one.
Forgiven. Gotcha.
And the reason I'm using that verbiage is because on the PPP, which is the Payment Protection Program, it is forgivable. Doesn't mean it's guaranteed to be forgiven. Right.
So what constitutes whether or not it's forgiven or not?
So let's talk about the PPP next, because this one is a little bit different. So first of all, the loan itself is based on a couple of things. It's based on salary, payroll. And so it's an average 2-month, if I'm not mistaken, payroll, but for the last year. They have some caveats. If someone's getting over $100,000, you have to extract that. You can't use that in your calculation. So if you have 8 employees and it's $100,000, 4 of them have $100,000 payroll, you can't use that in your calculation. So you come up with your figure. You can use, and here's how it's forgivable, right? It's forgivable if you use that money for the specified purpose, which is paying payroll, and you can do other things like pay your mortgage on your property, we're talking about business property, right? Your rent, if you have office rent, those kind of things. However, 75% of it, at least at the moment, 75% of that money must be used for payroll. Must be used for payroll. So it's almost like if you use it all for payroll, and the payroll period must be 8 weeks, meaning you get 2.5 times the salary. You have to have that employee on the books at the time you get the loan. They should have been on already, but they have to be on the books, and they have to be paid these 2.5 months. If you honor that requirement, then it's forgiven. So it doesn't seem like it's a real hard threshold, right? I think about myself and my assistant. I'm on payroll. I'm taxed as an S corp. Some of us are taxed as S corps, right? For me, it's easy. I look at and I already did this. I looked at my P&L for last year, added up the payroll of myself, my assistant, divided it by 12, got my my monthly average, did it by 2.5 months, and that's what I requested. All I have to do is pay my employees if I get the loan. I think I'll manage to pay myself. I won't fire myself. Claudia's high risk.
Claudia's out.
If Claudia goes, it's because we've already crashed, right? But so it's almost like this is easy. Now, Ken, you're an S corp, if you don't mind, right? You're on payroll.
Yeah.
You get this money, you pay yourself. The debt is forgiven. It's a no-brainer. That's what I count as free money. Now, there is interest on this loan. And that part is a little unclear to me, I'll be honest with you. The interest is 1%. So not bananas.
It's a 0.5%.
It's not bananas. This is where it's unclear. And I'm telling you, based on the documents that I've been reading, the SBA, this is the docket for the SBA. There was one line in it that says, and let's see here, sorry for the delay, but it said, I tried to highlight it too. It said, The act provides for forgiveness up to the full principal amount of qualifying loans guaranteed under the Paycheck Protection Program. So that to me says, okay, well, interest is going to be, it's not going to be forgiven. That's how I read it. But there's another page that said that it's about this is a 31-page document, so bear with me, guys. This one says the amount of loan forgiveness can be up to the full principal amount of the loan and any accrued interest. So to me, it's a bit ambiguous. But the truth of the matter is, I don't mind paying back a 1% loan,
Right.
Because that's not going to be horrific. Obviously, and this is an SBA loan, so you can pay, you can pay it early if you want, if you don't really need it, those kind of things. So don't take off, try and borrow all kinds of money. It's also based on payroll. So even if you have to pay the interest, it's going to be nominal. The interest is, according to what we have here, the maturity is a 2-year loan. You don't start paying back the loan for 6 months. So we'll have plenty of time to figure out, whether I'm going to be paying interest or if it's going to be forgiven. Because the forgiveness part of it is not automatic. You're going to have to do another application to your lender that proves that you use this money in the appropriate fashion. It shouldn't be that hard, right? We all have accounting systems, right? Or you have a payroll program. Run your payroll reports, submit it to your lender. I'm going to just throw one more thing at you because, like I said, a couple of my clients have already went through the process. I worked with my doctor to do it. When his bank asked him for the payroll calculations, I use not Intuit Online, but it used to be called PayCycle. Now Intuit owns it. I literally just generated a 1-year report for him, threw it to Excel, did the same calculation I did, printed it as a PDF and gave it to him, and that's what he gave his banker. I didn't ask for anything more than that. So I think that's, each banker is going to have different requirements. I was just speaking to another one of my clients. He was going to join, who just went through the process, because there are some banks that are doing the loan. And the bank asked for his corporate tax return. I'm like, why would they need the corporate tax return? He has no idea. He said, this is one of the worst banks in the world. And I said, okay, well, don't rush to get the loan if you're not comfortable with it. He said he's not quite sure. That bank that he used, I'll tell you right now, I think it was called Connect One. Have you heard of Connect One, guys?
I have.
Yeah, that's my banker.
Oh, okay. So I think he did Connect One. Let me see. Yeah, I think it was. I don't have that. I didn't save that document. Too many things going on. I think he did Connect One, and so they might. Each bank, from what I understand, each lender has their own questions that they might ask you, right? The numbers that they're supposed to focus on is payroll, and those calculations. I don't know why they would want your 1120 if you're a corporate return. I don't know why they'd want your Schedule C if you're a sole proprietor. But if that's what they're asking and you want to get the money from them, feel free. So those are the things that I know at this point. Some of you guys have learned other information. Please share as you see appropriate. Or if you have any questions that we can try to answer.
Mark, you said the payrolls for the last year, right?
So the payroll is, they want to get an average of what it was.
I guess my real question is, my employees are on unemployment for the last 2 weeks. Does that affect me, or I just bring them back?
No. So what happens is there's a period that you're going to do your calculation. It'll be based on last year's payroll. Hold on, I got some bananas noise. It'll be based on last year's payroll, and you have to start paying those employees when you get the loan. So that means that, like, you might have let them go, and now you've got this money. You can bring them back. And that's, it starts from when the loan comes in. I got someone else joining. So that's a good question. And there are calculations. Let me see if I can share them with you for a moment. So this document is pretty comprehensive. And I actually sat down and read these things. Normally I don't read all these details because they get annoying. probably should have had this in PDF, then I could have did my search faster. They gave us like 3 different calculations, and one of them factors into salaries. So I thought that might be helpful. Okay, here are the calculations. They give 4. So if you have like no employees making more than 100,000, the annual salary, the example that they give is $12,000 annual payroll, which means that your average monthly payroll is $10,000. Makes sense, right? You multiply that by 2.5, which is 25,000. That's what the maximum you're allowed to receive. Simple, right? The second example that they gave, and I was thinking about this one for folks who do make more than $100,000. What I have read seemed like maybe you would just use 100,000 as a cutoff. But the example that they gave says some employees make more than 100,000. And so they give an example of 1.5 million in annual payroll, but it says subtract compensation amounts in excess of an annual salary of 100,000, and then do your annual monthly qualifying payroll. It says in excess of 100,000. I'm not 100% sure what that means. Can I go up to 100,000 and, say each person is 100,000? Or is it saying you can't use those individuals at all? I think it's a bit ambiguous there. And you might I would speak to your banker and see, Remember, it's just a loan. They're looking at payroll numbers. And so if your numbers match up, if you get a loan for $1.5 million and you pay 1.5 in salary, who cares, right? Because that's really what the factor is. So, I think the calculations are pretty straightforward, and it's available as long as you use the loan for the right criteria, it'll be forgiven.
Mark, quick question.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm part payroll and let's call it part shareholder distribution. Does that factor in or no?
Your payroll is what they're going to loan against.
That's right.
Distribution
Okay.
is not.
Right.
That's a good question, and I was looking for all the details on that too. It's good to be honest with that payroll number, right? We want to get it low, but sometimes
right. Now it's fighting us.
yeah. It's like one way or the other, right? But yeah, it's definitely going to be based on payroll. I think some of what my client that we walked through it asked for beyond that one document. I think they asked him for 941s. My other client did they asked for his W-3. W-3 is New Jersey, right?
What is that?
Yeah, that's the total. W-3 is the total of all the payroll for each employee in one form. They asked for that client. When you do a W-3 in New Jersey, you attach the W-2s behind it so they can even look at the detail behind that. So good question. One of the questions that did pop up was, okay, all this is cute and all, but where do I get this loan for the PPP? Right? It's cute. So I did some research. I kept reading, and for those who don't know, Jonathan is my brother. He know I don't read. That's his job for the family. Him and the older one. But it actually says that all SBA 7A lenders are automatically approved to make PPP loans on a delegated basis.
Mm-hmm.
They can anybody who is an SBA lender. So now the SBA has a website, and I have the link. I'll share it with you guys. I think I can even do this one right now. That has the lenders that are available today. I used it today for North Jersey. I put in my zip code, and I had 3 or 4 pop up. I called one of them. I said, man, that'd be cool to get a banker on and see what he's got to say. It went straight to voicemail. I said, okay, what can I tell you? Bank of America is who my client used. I don't know what my dentist used, but my doctor used Bank of America. Cool. Any other questions?
I have one. Now, I'm not as big as some people. Matter of fact, my workforce is on the video stream right now. So My question is, one of the points on this form is for your cost of goods sold for the 12 months prior to the disaster. And they're starting the disaster January 31st of 2020.
Right.
So my only question is, and Mark knows that I continually have a problem with this, but my payroll is really just my necessary bills plus a certain percentage of what I get incoming. So when I'm doing that payroll part, do I use the percentage that I've been going by? Because that's that whole multiple bank account stream to keep a track of your money thing that we was talking about, Mark. So is the easier option for me to look at my gross and then do my percentage of my gross as I've been doing it for the past year? Or am I setting up?
Let me hit you real quick. I don't help this dude with his accounting clearly, because everybody else who I help with their accounting knows that's the worst answer in the world. You are a sole proprietor. You don't have payroll.
That's what I thought. But.
So and you're right. I did the EIDL as well. They asked for cost of goods sold. When you're looking at your P&L, you're going to have your gross income, and Jonathan is into construction. So it's a little different, right? I think most of us are service-based. Omar has huge cost of goods sold, but most of us are service-based. So for you guys, your cost of goods sold is a separate category on your P&L. P&L breaks out with gross income, cost of goods sold, and then expenses. The payroll portion is typically in your expense category, not cost of goods sold.
Right.
For a sole proprietor who has no employees, you have no line that says payroll.
Correct.
Your monies should be based, according to where it is right now, on net income.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so that's where you want to look. Now, I was, like I said, online. One of my colleagues said that they're going to come out with even more information, I think, in another week for sole proprietors, right? So even though it's called the Paycheck Protection Program, not everybody's getting paychecks.
Right.
Sole props don't get paychecks. They're going to be looking at your net income. So I'm not even quite sure, quite honestly, why they asked about the cost of goods sold portion of it.
Right. And that's what I was driving at, because, you know, though my language skills aren't as precise as yours, basically my business, my cost of goods are the mechanical systems that I pay for and charge the customer at cost. My cost of goods sold is that kind of stuff. And I have a certain percentage on each job that I do for cost of goods sold, for owner's draw, things of that nature. So it makes sense that it would be net income, because if I do cost of goods sold, then on paper I made like $100 last year.
Well, that can't be accurate. But
that's an exaggeration, mind you. But
yeah, you're talking about the cash allocation plan, which is different than the actual cost of goods sold.
Yes.
So there's two different things. What we come up with, and some of our clients we work with on how to manage your cash flow so you don't run into problems, that's not showing up on your P&L. That's not showing up on your balance sheet. That's a cash allocation plan completely separate. When you're running your numbers for this, you are looking specifically at your profit and loss statement.
Gotcha.
Or balance sheet. I know for the EIDL, they ask for your liabilities, right? That's on your balance sheet. So, you know, and what I've been doing with my clients is, if you're going to do your, you know, EIDL and liabilities, don't run the report on the basis that's opposite of what you do on your taxes. So if you're an accrual-based accounting on your tax return, you run your report on accrual. If it's cash, you run it on cash. Make sense? I'm looking at the PPP now. So, like I said, it's a basic form, and I'll share that with you. But it is incredibly basic. They asked very simple questions, and I don't think, Jonathan, that the cost of goods sold is that question. I think that was on the EIDL.
Yeah.
And they're two separate loans. You can apply for both. You can apply for the EIDL and the PPP. You know. That
was my next question.
Yeah, and I would definitely apply for. I would definitely apply for both, if you need the cash, right? I mean, because remember, the EIDL is it's not going to be completely forgiven, right? So the EIDL is kind of helping you stay in business. The PPP will be forgiven. different.
Gotcha.
If you get the 10K from the EIDL, from what I understand, they subtract it from the PPP.
Makes sense.
You know, they're not going to give you more than 2.5 times. At least that will be forgiven. Because if you think about it, your EIDL loan might be way more than just your 2.5 times. They're only going to forgive 2.5 times payroll. That's what it seems like when all is said and done.
Okay.
Mark, I have a question. I just want to clarify as I'm listening for what I may be eligible for. So the PPL, in light of the fact that similar to Jonathan, I don't have employees, would I be eligible?
The PPP, yes, your numbers are going to be based on your net gains.
Okay. The net income, which is what you just shared.
Correct. So look at your profit and loss report, right, for the year. With that bottom line net income. That's what you're going to start your calculations on.
Okay.
Yep, you are eligible.
Okay.
So it's designed to keep us around, right? It's designed to keep us around at least for 2.5 months. Who knows after that? But
Mark, you said it's based on 2.5 months of payroll, but we only have to guarantee the staff is on hand for 8 weeks.
Correct. So, and think about the calculations, right? 2.5 months of payroll. You have to guarantee it's 8 weeks, and you have to use at least 75% for payroll. So they're giving you like this little wiggle room to pay you. You know, you can't have employees if you can't pay your rent. So they're giving you a little bit of wiggle room in that regard. Make sense? Yeah. So it's not 100% has to be used for payroll, but they don't want you to take, take this money, don't pay anybody, and then just use it all for all my other expenses. It's a great time to pay all my vendors. I would throw this, and I don't think anybody on our call has any real debt problems, which is cool. But for those who have debt problems, if you can get a big EIDL loan and consolidate all your other debt, this might be the time to do it. The loan is a lot smaller, a lot more forgiving. So it might be a nice debt consolidation remediation program for you if you can get a loan for it. Think about that as well.
Well, it also doesn't say you have to keep the same employees, does it?
No, but that's a different program, but that's the PPP. Yeah, you can get rid of all the people that are on your nerves and then get some new blood.
No, get rid of all your employees and then just raise your own salary to 75% of the loan.
Ooh, that would be cute. However, the one question that they ask on that PPP,
to do that,
the question they ask on the PPP, I think to circumnavigate that is they ask you, how many jobs does this payroll comprise of? So, good idea, but they caught that one. That one you won't get away with. You might get away with
I'm one guy doing many jobs.
Yeah.
You might be able to get away with that. CEO, salesman, technical installer. Yeah. You might.
I make the coffee.
They're also suggesting you're just paying your employees, like, because the employees can't come to work right now. So it's really just like sick pay or something, right? Is that what they're suggesting?
You know what? That's an interesting question. I don't look at it that way. My employees working from home. I don't know if your employees working from home. Not really. If they're not working from home, maybe you repurpose them to do something else for your firm. I mean, this is a good time we talk about all the time, right? Marketing, right? Marketing. Pay them to do all that stuff right now. Pay them to, whatever your expertise is for your staff. This is the time to use them in different capacities. They're giving you this money to keep them employed as opposed to putting them on unemployment, right? And you can do that. If they're willing to be repurposed, the alternative is going on unemployment. If you don't want to do anything, that's cool too. But if they want to work, and you might want to do a little survey, see who wants to work, enroll them in the PPP program, use that as your calculations, get that loan, and then put them to work. I mean, Claudia's going to be doing my laundry. She's on mute. She could be more.
Yeah, I don't think
so. Give me unemployment, baby. No, but you get the idea, right? I mean, my firm would do a lot of accounting, right? Don't know where we're going to be in another month, but we always have work. There's a lot of things we're doing. We're trying to create our programs for education. So there's going to be a lot of other things that we're going to be able to do while we go through this process. Awesome. Awesome.
Mark, I'm also concerned. You said the PPP was a first come, first served
Yes.
plan. And so why I'm concerned is like, I have a bank that's been very vocal. They sent probably 20 emails this week about get these things ready, get this ready. We're working on it. And they say they're going to have their application launched on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it seems like the country is allowed to start applying today.
Okay.
Should I be concerned? Although they are a big bank, so they should know what they're talking about, I would think.
Yeah, in fact, Omar sent me a document where some banks were like, we're not ready yet. Okay. You know, the PPP, the SBA form for the loan is actually on the SBA's website. You can fill it out right now. You can have it at the ready. If they ask for substantiation, that's not hard to get. And then you go from there. I mean, that's going to be the challenge, right? It's easy to apply for these loans. The challenge is going to be finding the lender that's going to give it to you. Bank of America, I got on their website and they said, we are giving loans to those who already have an account with us and who have a lending agreement with us already. So that's, you know, okay, I won't be working with them. I called Capital One, that's who I bank with. What's in your wallet? I called Capital One, it went to voicemail. Okay. I might be having to check out other ones, but the first one that you should check out is your bank. Okay. Any other questions?
Mark, I have a question slightly off topic with respect to, taxes. So we have a deferral till July, I understand?
July 15, yes. And the state of New Jersey just approved it, I think yesterday.
Okay. Is that to pay or to file or both?
Both.
Like both, okay.
Both, yes.
Okay.
What about those of us who've already filed and have given the state permission to take the funds out on the 15th? Any way to revoke that?
From what I understand, you can. You can. I haven't looked at the steps to do it. I did read something briefly that said that you can do that, but I would have to look into the details on it.
I have a question.
Sure.
So upon your expert advice, I've been searching my bank. I told you I was doing this as everyone was speaking, real-time application. So at first I went directly to the SBA website and started filling out applications and getting all excited because I'm understanding things.
For the
But
EIDL or the PPP? For the EIDL?
For everything. I have multiple windows open on my screen, simultaneously filling things out. But here's my question. My bank, I bank at Citizens Bank, which is a really nice small business bank here in PA. I don't know about elsewhere, but they have specifically said, if you've been impacted by this disaster, for our business banking customers, where's the line? It says SBA referral facilitation for economic injury disaster loans. That sounds to me like they facilitate, but they wouldn't necessarily be the lender. But I should still use them since I bank with them, right? At least see what they can do for me.
Correct. Yeah, from what I understand, that these SBA loans, they can actually be like I forgot the exact term. It might be facilitator, but they might not be giving you the actual money. They can even sell these loans afterwards. You know, it is just like most loans that can be sold, resold, repackaged, repurposed. Absolutely.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Cool. So, unless we have any other questions, what I want to do, and you tell me if this is going to work for you guys. Like I said, I've been stockpiling documents. Sometimes we get information overload, so I don't want to give you too much information overload. But I do have the basic. I have a sample of the PPP that, if you guys want it, I'll give that to you, as well as the one that I started with, which was the consumer. What was the SBA one for coronavirus awareness. And then I have this other basic one, which is a one sheet. I love one sheets. That makes life easy for me. So this one sheet, you might even have seen this elsewhere. And it kind of just gives you the high level view. If you want, you tell me right now, the 31-page document that was final as of 10:45, I will include that in an email as well. Does everybody want that as well?
Yeah, I'd love to see that. Sure.
Okay. So
I'd like you to read it to us.
Once upon a time, not long ago, where people wore pajamas and lived life slow. No. So I think I have everybody's email, right? Do I? I think so.
Yes.
So I will compose an email. I'll BCC you so we don't stalk each other's emails, and I'll get that out to you by the end of the day. Is that cool?
Perfect.
Well, so
I hope this was helpful.
Very helpful. Thanks, Mark.
Awesome, awesome. I mean, I know when I did this with my group, when we were going through it, it was just nice to get a little bit of clarity. So if you have questions afterwards, I'll be holed up in my little office. So feel free to hit me up with those things, and we'll see what goes from there. Everybody stay safe. Stay safe.
Wait, can I ask a
guys.
question, Mark? Can I ask a question before we conclude? Did
Yes.
I miss intros? Did everybody introduce themselves or?
You know, everybody got in at different times, so folks were yakking. But sure, it might be nice because we have some people who are in related industries. And as I look at my little Brady Box picture, I'm thinking Omar should meet Ken. So feel free. I'm gonna. I guess I'll call the name out. You tell us who you are, and because we might be looking at different boxes, I'll start my top left-hand side. There's Pete Gallo. Pete, tell us who
hey.
you are.
Pete Gallo. I own and operate Envision Video Services in Hasbro Heights. We do video production, video transfers, and I've been doing this for 15 years now.
Thank you. And Ken Rasiopi.
Hi, Ken Rasiopi, Premier Merchant Solutions. We provide credit card processing along with point of sale systems, other forms of technology for all businesses. I'm largely in the hospitality industry as unfortunately they're getting hit hard, but my portfolio is diversified. I service all types of merchants.
And Ken, before I move on, the one thing I shot you an email about is, hey, this might be the time we start focusing on some marketing for your autos.
Yes, definitely.
So we should definitely talk sometime next week because I have some bananas ideas.
All right, perfect.
We'll see how it goes. Michelle, go ahead, please.
Hi, I'm Michelle Brown. My company is Into Action Coaching. We are a full-service talent management agency in the sense that we work with businesses to do leadership coaching, skill development, anything that employers need to ensure that their leaders are inspirational and that their employees want to come to work every day, not just because they are getting paid.
Awesome. Thank you.
And I do some business and career coaching as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Nicole, I think you're on mute. Can I unmute you? Go, please. Oh, wait. Why is it doing this? Give me. Okay, there you go.
Got me?
Gotcha.
I'm Nicole Fluke. I have Apex Savvy Solutions, and I do digital marketing.
Okay. All right, cool. And Nicole and I, since you're going to be all modest, we've been working on this whole marketing process, the Apex Savvy Solution. Boom! It really is going to be a game changer. I think so. Jonathan, please.
I'm Jonathan. Pretty boring. I'm a contractor / construction guy. I'm into house remodeling, as well as installation of various mechanical systems on the residential side. Yeah, pretty much that's it. I fix stuff and build stuff and break stuff.
Do you break windows?
Yes, I'm very good at breaking them. I'm installing them in my house as we speak.
Awesome. You need to speak to Omar because he's next and he sells all kinds of stuff for contractors.
Hey guys, I'm Omar. We run a family operated business since '92. My father started the business. Me and my older brother are slowly but surely taking over the business. What we do, we sell windows, we sell kitchen cabinets, we sell vinyl flooring. About 80% mark of our business is contractors and developers and people like that. Maybe a little bit more. I don't really deal with homeowners. But yeah, that's pretty much what we do. We have a little showroom, a warehouse, about 25,000 square foot warehouse in Patterson, New Jersey. And we import a lot of stuff from China. Well, overseas, not China anymore. I can't say China. Indonesia. Sorry, guys. We got some suppliers out of New York, Pennsylvania, and some in South Jersey. So that's what I do. Nothing fun.
Awesome. Windows, cabinets, floors. Pretty impressive. Doors, toilets.
No, Mark. No more doors for me. I'm done. I got a container of doors. It took me too long to sell. I got tired of it. So I said, no doors. Not selling it. It took too long.
I hear you. Hey, only strike where the iron's hot. I got Max on mute. Hold on, Max. Max, are you refusing to unmute, man? There you go.
Hey, we don't do much. That's about it.
Okay. I'm gonna give everybody one piece of advice about business ownership since I'm on, right? Please don't downplay your business and what you do. We all have that tendency. Modesty is a nice quality, but when you're in business, try and boast a little bit about yourself. Sell yourself, right? I mean, we don't, none of us want to say we do much. Every time somebody asks me, they say, hey, do you do accounting? I go, no, I'm a hustler. Be honest, tell people what you do because it's important, right? And you guys, I work with each one of you, at least in some capacity. And when I first met you, before I even looked at a number, I was impressed by you, right? So don't, like one of my mentors say, stand in your power. Always stand in your power, please, because that's going to help you when you move forward in your business. So I'm going to just throw that out there because y'all kind of annoyed me with that. I don't do much. Anyway, thank you for that, Michelle, that suggestion to introduce in a nice formal capacity. Everybody, please stay safe. Please stay safe. And I will get these documents out to you by the end of the day.
Perfect.
Thanks,
Mark,
guys.
thank you for your time, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Everybody.
Guys.
I'm calling you later today, Mark.
All right, man. Talk to you.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
That was good.